Welcome to Coach's Corner, everybody. I'm Lyndon.
I'm
Amy.
And Debbie.
And this is Coach's Corner. This is where we share what's helped us on our fitness journeys, which will also help you change your relationships with food and fitness. If you like the video, like it. Make sure to share. Don't forget to hit the notification button and subscribe, because we really do all of this for you guys. So help us reach more people by telling people about the great work we're doing here. And also, give us some feedback. We love hearing from you guys. All right. Today we're discussing how struggle can actually turn into a bit of a superpower. And who better to talk about using your struggle to create superpower than one of our near and dear coaches, Amy.
Wee.
All right, you go ahead and start off with whatever part you want.
Okay.
We'll see what you got.
I guess I want to start at like my lowest point. I feel like that makes the most sense.
Sure.
So I think my journey began with a desire for healing, like emotional, spiritual, really, a spiritual healing.
Sure.
So I've always been a mover. I danced. You guys know I've danced my whole life. That's always been a place where I felt a lot of release, a lot of joy, a lot of spiritual connection. To be honest, that's where like my strongest connection to spirit was. And I was super depressed. I was drinking a lot. I had gone through a really tumultuous relationship that I was still in, and I was feeling really low. So my desire for change really started with more, how do I, mentally change than how am I physically changing my body, which I think we talk about more in here a lot, is like we're more focused on that. So I started reading some books. I started doing a lot of processing, a lot of mourning, a lot of grieving. And I got to a point where I think community is really what brought me here. I did a goddess retreat and walked on some coals, and in that process, the fire they created was with your intent, right? The intent that you had for this, thing to overcome, to walk across these coals. This is what you're walking towards on the other side. Mine was honest and authentic connection. So, and then I found this place, I think 2 months later, it was like 6 weeks maybe. So it was very quick kind of return.
Okay.
I didn't necessarily see it as that answer. But I think since I've been here now, a lot of physical transformation for me came from the release of my trauma and my victimhood, my story, my drinking, my indulgence, in ways that were numbing. And this part of the journey allowed me to like shed all of that.
Yeah. Okay.
And really grow, not only physically and mentally, but spiritually overall, to feel like I have a purpose, to feel like I'm aligned in my moves, to feel like my relationships are more authentic and less just surface and hiding.
Got you. Would you say, and I think it's important for people to kind of get different aspects on what this looks like. So it's one thing to come in as a coach and then go like to say you walk the walk, you talk the talk, you do the things. Like that can be done by just showing people what they want to see.
Yeah. But
choosing coaches from in the community was something that I did intentionally, right? And there's a reason for that. I did that. One reason is I think you guys' stories speak to the strength of having a space to allow you to grow and be perfectly imperfect, right? And like you said in the beginning, I don't think most of us walk in the doors of a gym and say, this thing's gonna change my life. You're just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna come here, I'm gonna move, it'll feel good, and it could become my space. So I would love for you to share, like, I call it the aha moment, right? And I'm thinking of, if this helps, I'm thinking of the turning point where you decided to take the journey up a couple notches. Like what happened either in your mind or in your journey that was like, okay, instead of just coming here to move, I'm now gonna do things intentionally to be like either stronger or better at what I'd like to be, a better person. So when did that switch hit? And what was it?
What's that? Was the last question?
And what was it?
What was it? It's interesting because I don't think I've ever said this moment, right? Until you asked the question very specifically.
Yeah.
I'm like, what actually transitioned me from just being a class person to a training person was my show.
Okay.
I was like, oh, I'm turning 40. I've got a show on my birthday, and I wanted to audition for that grant. There was the piece that they held an audition out at Brockport, right? I was auditioning in October, and I was hoping to perform not only in November, but in April. And I already knew I'd be performing in April. This would just kind of add to that plate.
Got it.
So I think there I was like, if I'm serious, I want to dance more, and all of a sudden I'm about to dance way more than I have been. I should be serious. I have these resources around me that I was kind of like, yeah, I'm cool. I'm good. I'm good with what I'm doing. And I think I was good.
Right.
But I think that was the point where I was like, well, why don't I see how I could be if I did actually take advantage? What would great look like?
Yeah.
What would getting on that stage, almost 20 years older than the year I graduated there,
Right.
what would that feel like if I actually intentionally showed up?
Okay.
Not just doing the same thing I'd always done.
Got it. I think the reason that I ask is because people know you for training with an intensity that most people don't. And because of that, there's not I think most people think you just kind of show up and you just do it, right? But in my opinion, and from what I've seen from years and years, I would say that the best lifters lift from a very emotional space, right? Like the best movers, the strongest people I meet physically, like you're willing to push your body to a point that most people aren't. So that actually is why I ask, like, what was the turning point? Because there's like, I'm gonna try this thing out, and then there's, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do this in a way where failure is the last thing on my mind.
Yeah.
Right? And that's, I saw the switch when you started coming to Bars and Bells, and then it started to physically show up for you after probably about, let's say, 3-4 months after you were coming to Bars and Bells, because most people don't know this, but there was no one in Bars and Bells when I started. It was a class, it was a general concept, it was just something that I was like, I think people would enjoy this, but getting the word out there for something new is always hard.
Yeah.
So you were like, I don't know, and I was like, well, we're about to find out what we both don't know, because I've never taught this class before this. Let's see how it goes. And it turned in. It's like one of our most popular classes, right?
For sure.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder.
That was a curiosity for sure, because
Yeah,
I was like, well, at this point, I've taken almost every class you offer.
Fair. Yeah,
so
that's fair.
that was like, available like in my schedule, and I was like, well, I don't know. I've been putting this one off the longest because I'm like, kind of keeping the strength training like over here. Like I don't need that.
Right.
So
Okay. Got it. Yeah.
And then I was like, well, let's do it.
Yeah, that's fair. I think most people transition, like people who come to Bars and Bells, they are curious, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a curiosity. What does this thing do? So I was curious.
And that transitioned me to training for sure. After 6 months or so of
Yeah,
that, I was like,
we trained
I'm ready.
for a good half a year.
I'm ready.
And then one day you were just like, so about that training thing. And I was like, all right. Then we started talking about it. Next thing I know, you were coming to training, and the rest is history. Now she's a coach. So I like to think that everybody's story has an aha moment, has like a special moment in it where like what you've done and what you want to do have to meet, right? Like there's a special space in between the two where things get real bleak, right? And I don't think we give those spaces enough credit. Like as an example, hearing it talked about, again, there's easy tumultuous times, like things I'm used to, things that are like fighting against me, and then there are very, very difficult tumultuous times, and those two times can be life-changing. I see that happen here more often than I think most people want to admit. And it's just like again, you're fighting yourself, your comfort, your discomfort. A lot of it is comfort, which leads to discomfort, and then most people are fighting that and trying to figure that out. So I think we should talk about that, like as a group. How do we make sure that we use our moments of darkness to grow, right? Like what are those moments that help us transition between this is hurting me to this will change me, right? What do you think the superpower is there? I have ideas. I just,
I think for me it's perspective. I force I force other perspective on myself in that way, where if I catch myself in a negative mindset around something that I'm perceiving it negative towards me, I'm like, all right, so where's the silver lining first off? If I can find one good thing about it, then I think that unlocks my mind to be able to find more. I also think back to God never gives you more than you can handle. So I'm like, all right, if I'm still alive, if I'm still breathing from this thing, what do I, like, obviously I got to do something with it. You know, it's not for me to just like put into the dark recesses of my mind and keep moving forward. It happened for a reason, and if I don't learn that lesson, and I think as you live longer, you start to realize, oh, I didn't learn the lesson back here. You know, now it's coming up again, and it feels even worse. You know, or maybe I didn't learn it 2 times, and now it's the 3rd time, and I'm like, God, man, how do I keep ending up here?
Yeah.
And I just think about that. I'm like, all right, if I don't do something with this, then the next time this shit comes up, it's gonna like, either it's gonna kill me or it's gonna be like even heavier than this. And so I try to find like, what am I supposed to do with this negative feeling? Where am I supposed to go with it?
Yeah. Anybody else?
I already talked a bunch. So I feel like other people should
You
talk.
can talk
you
more.
know?
It's fine. Talk. You know what's funny? I have to say that there's like everybody has their facet, right? Like everybody has their facet, but there are some people who like you've seen it change them like physically, like on a high level, and you're like, that person, something clicked, right? Like you don't just go from overweight and more possibly obese to looking fit and moving around like in the way that you do and gain the muscle you have. Like it's not a one thing process, right? It's a continuous visitation of a thing until you get it. So I guess the reason why it's like, first of all, you can't talk too much during this, just because it's the topic that you know better than anybody else, which is you. And then on top of that, people haven't seen pictures. I have of Amy before, then Amy who changed, and then Amy again, who's like completely still similar to that person, but more defined, leaner. Definitely your stamina jumped, right?
Yeah.
Like jumped from like you were good dancing for like maybe 45 minutes to an hour with needs for breaks to like I've watched you dance for 3 or 4 hours and say that you're good and like now have a problem. So I think this is one of those topics where like I don't think we talk about it enough in detail.
Yeah.
Right? So I would love to hear, because you two both have your own story behind this. Again, how did you take the darkness and turn it into something that you can now see, if you look back even little, how that moment was the defining moment, right? Like how to set up your blueprint.
I think lose the victim narrative is a huge one. You know, like I think like the to me or at me, like, you know, those 4, right?
Yes, the 4 levels of consciousness.
You know, I think it's easy to get stuck and all this shit is happening to me.
Right.
You know, it's like punishment, some sort of, you know, it's like, oh, why me? I think it's easy where that gets in the way so much. It's so easy. I would lump it into that negative thinking, but I don't think everyone always sees it like that.
Yeah.
They're like, well, I'm just saying what's happening. And at a certain point, sure, it's happening, but what are you going to do with it? You know?
Yes.
Like, what parts are you in control of? Where's the narrative holding you back? Where are you in the way?
Yeah.
And I think that was probably my biggest one, is that I got used to being a victim, and it felt good to talk about being a victim with other people who want to sit around and talk about being a victim.
Facts.
And there was alcohol involved in that a lot of the time, you know, like, and I think that, you know, just changing, for me, it was a combination of like real harsh self-reflection, where it's like, all right, yes, these things happen to you, but like also you've allowed all of this since then, you know, like you're in charge of you, you're your protector, you're your unconditional lover. Like there's all the things that you need to mourn
Yeah.
and then be them. You know,
facts.
don't get stuck in the mourning phase. Like there is, you know, how do you transmute your pain into
Right. Something beneficial.
some strength,
Yeah.
something that you can share. I think that that's where my call is, to share, you know, I get it, and the
Don't
sun's
stay.
out today,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Tag.
I was like, you got to say something. You
Now
can't
it's
just
your
say- Yeah,
turn.
say something.
I know what you mean.
There you go.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with the perspective piece. And gosh, all those things for sure. But I think it's like, yeah, it's finding that, I think it's a sink or swim. Like if you really hit the bottom and you're really in darkness, like you stay
I'm
there.
still listening. I'm not listening. I was gonna say that.
You gotta go back.
So you didn't go, no, I'm
Yeah,
actually
no, I'm just kidding.
preparing for the next piece. Keep going.
Yeah, you either sink and you're done, or you swim, and I think that does force a change of perspective, and then being able to hold on to that once you see, I don't know, you can start to feel yourself going in a different direction, make progress. That stays as a motivator. I definitely, like when I was gonna turn 40, I was like, yeah, let me let me work harder. But I think since then, more dark things happened, and I'm kind of in the middle of that process, like realizing, yeah, my perspective is my choice. I don't want to walk around a victim. Shit happens to everybody. We all struggle with something. Not a single person doesn't struggle with something that like just hurts and feels dark. You just don't know what that is. So I think, yeah, like you do have to grieve and mourn, but you can't stay there. Like I think that's a really good point. Yeah.
Why do you say it like that at the end? Do you not see it? Do you not, like, I hear you saying it, but like, I guess my question for you would be, have you embodied those principles yet?
No,
Have you internalized those principles yet?
that's happening right now.
Okay. All right. And for fairness, Em has a pretty good transformation journey herself, but she's not where she wants to be. That's where the work is. I think a lot of people think like it's just going to be, you got to get it and it's got to be perfect and then you can do it. And that's actually not true. It's a process for sure. Amy hit it on the head when she said the process is like, all right, yes, this happened to me. Like I've had these things happen in my life. I've had these things show up the way they've shown up, whatever they are for you. And then there's this moment where you can use them to keep being who you've been to this point, or you can use them to change. And the reason why GID exists, in my opinion, has to do with the fact that most people don't realize that you show up every day, and that's where the extraordinary comes from. So a lot of people will show up once, twice, and then they'll say, yeah, I really want to change. And it's like, that's not enough, especially if you promised yourself more than that, right? Because your discomfort hasn't been hit yet. And that's where the biggest growth lies. The people who become uncomfortable regularly are the people who grow the most. So sometimes, again, it might be something as small as nutrition. It might be a weight that challenges you. Person who comes to mind for me is Justine, right? Justine came in, and I ain't gonna talk on everything that Justine has shared, but I will say that Justine has struggled with feeling like she was winning in her journey. And it's awkward to be someone on the outside, especially if you don't know, watching someone get better and they still don't get it. We usually and commonly refer to this as body dysmorphia for a lot of people, but ironically, it's a mental battle, not a physical. So I just like to make sure that when we do these things, first off, keep your commitments to yourself, right? The reason to hire a coach in the first place is someone holding you accountable to the goals you set for yourself, right? Sometimes we are not enough. Sometimes we don't want to have to concentrate in that area, right? But the thing is when you go home at night and you know you're supposed to make better choices when your coach isn't in front of you, that's when it matters that you have that internal dialogue. So again, it's not as simple as one-time change. It's usually a change on top of a change on top of a change that leads to the bigger change that you're looking for. So I just want to make sure we emphasize that. Again, the name is Getting It Daily for a reason. Real change doesn't come from a tumultuous situation. It comes from taking whatever comes into your life and making a choice in the right direction, whatever that means for you. And if you're not sure, that's why we talked about taking stock and everything else, so that way you can make a real call on what a good path for you is. And if you're, again, this is my second part, if you don't have someone telling you what you're doing, like how it is for them, then it's not real. And I hate to say that for so many people, but I'm not saying like it's so funny watching, let's say someone who's super popular, everybody knows, and it was a big thing. Like, you know, most people know Mark Zuckerberg is the guy who made Facebook, right? But do we know what Mark gave up to create Facebook? Do you know things like Mark slept on a mattress in the office he couldn't afford because he couldn't afford an apartment in a house for almost a year before there was any money made? Like, if you watch that movie, they make it sound like it was this big thing and like they were just all sitting around and it was amazing. But there was a point where Facebook started to do decent and they slept in an office. Him and the other founding guy slept in an office for like half a year to a year, right? And stories like that are the people we remember. Mark Zuckerberg also has won BJJ championships, like randomly, right? This guy is constantly looking for ways to evolve, right? And that is the difference between those who show up and want to just do the bare minimum and those who show up in actual excellence. Those are, and it goes unnoticed. He didn't put it up. It's like Tom Hardy. It's not something where it has to be loud. Ironically, most change is done very quietly, breaking in the dark, realizing it in the dark, crawling out of the dark, and then after a while, like light just, as you will have more light come into your life, that's normally where you see it change and transform. But it is not a one-time, one-off process for most people. But there is an aha moment, which is why I wanted to go over that and make sure we covered that. So, I want us to share like something maybe from a client or something we remember, maybe something we posted on social media that kind of reminds us of how far we came, which means we're all about to be looking at our phones on camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and start because I've got technically two. I wanna share a current and an old one. All right, I'm gonna share the old one first because it's kind of long. This is 2019. This is 6 years ago, all right? And if I remember correctly, the context has to do with, this was someone who was like really curious about working with me, and when we used to do all the free stuff in the city, I was like, you know, who takes this the most serious, I'll take on as a client and like train them. So I did not get paid to train this person, right? Because a lot of people are like, oh yeah, we only help those who can afford to help. I was like, that was never my mission. My mission was to give to those who couldn't do. So this is kind of one of those moments, and someone gave me a lot of praise for it. So it says long post, February 1st, March 2nd. I had the honor of being trained by the talented, skilled, knowledgeable, and out-of-box Lyndon Dukes. This training consisted of 19 days. It was not one day of my training that I did the same exercise or training in its entirety. He has a plethora of ways to customize your training. My body was pushed to limits that I did not know it was capable of. I was introduced to a wide range of exercises. Strength training, flexibility, stretching, and cardio are universal terms used to describe my experience, but it was much more. I learned how shoes can limit your flexibility, mobility, specifically for me with squats and lunges. Learning to use your feet to obtain proper form without the limit of shoes was absorbed and appreciated, which maximized what I received through my training. He is truly a trainer, not a person who teaches you to work out. Anyone can work out, but not everyone can teach you how to train your body. I'm stronger, I've lost inches in every part of my body, I've had muscle gains, I've decreased fat, and now have a variety of exercises that my body is used to, even inchworms. For look, 5-6 years ago, still giving out inchworms. Nutrition played a huge role in all of this, along with drinking a proper amount of water daily. The body is the most amazing machine that has ever been built or created and operates very efficiently if you maximize its capabilities. I was very pleased with my experience. Thank you so much. I'll continue my journey. My goals are to decrease my fat percentage, learn how to efficiently fuel my body via nutrition, and increase my muscle mass. And that's the post.
Nice.
Yeah. That's 6 years ago. Holy shit. Sometimes you look back, you be like, damn, I've been doing this for a long time. Right? And this is one of those moments. So, what do you guys have? Any post, anything you can think of comes to
We should have
mind?
prepared for
I don't think
Oh.
that. I'm sure there's something, but it's like archived far away.
Well, hey, you had the whole time I was reading to look it up now.
I didn't really know what I needed to hear the example because I didn't know what you were asking for.
I don't have training instances.
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
have teaching instances.
Teaching instances?
The only reason I can call it up quickly, I guess, is I just got an email from one of my old students thanking me for helping them, which is really sweet.
We talking about things where, okay, go for it. Let's
But
hear
I don't
it.
have
No, let's hear it.
a fitness. I mean, do you want to clarify? It's not that, it's something else that we're looking for?
Yeah, I don't know how to find it.
It's literally, I said, sharing your story moments on social media. Do you have
Just in
those?
general.
Yes. So we all have moments that led to some type of perspective change, and the reason I'm asking is because it may be a small thing on social media, but it might be a very large thing in what you obtain from it. So, can you think of a moment? It could have been a story you shared. Like, it doesn't have to be anything
Yeah, I hear you.
truly transformational. It's just, do you know where's a moment of transformation that you can refer to on social media? I've got tons. I just wanted to help us start off. So give me what you got. I really do. I could pull up clients myself because I knew once I did this that social media was taking the direction it was taking, where people were gonna like look at social media as a resume. So I was very pointed on just making sure that I share.
Well, that makes sense. Mine, I do not use in that fashion.
You don't have to. That's
But
why.
yeah.
What can you recall?
What can you recall?
Yeah.
Transformational moments.
Yeah, listen, I can keep going.
Internet.
You got it set up for
I
that.
can.
Makes sense.
That's not necessarily true. I'm actually looking at other people's stuff. Mine is pretty easy / difficult, personally.
I like how my internet just not even loading right now.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it says there's no internet.
It's going really well is basically what I'm.
It's basically what
saying
you're
here.
saying. Got it.
Gosh, I have one I don't want to talk about.
You have one you don't want to talk about?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
Does anything else come to mind?
Wait-
Anybody? Again,
wait
it can
for
just be
this
something
internet.
shared. It doesn't got to be nothing crazy, people. What you got?
I don't know.
Should I go again?
Yeah, sorry. I don't, again, I'm not,
Should have been.
I do
prepared for
not
this.
use my social media.
I literally asked at the
well.
beginning,
My
do we
internet's not
understand
working.
the task?
My internet's not working.
So.
It's upsetting.
I don't,
I mean, okay, so I did post about it, but I don't have the post pulled up because my
That's
internet
okay.
is not functional.
That's okay.
But I would say for here, like when I was getting ready, or I joined here to take class, step class only. Then I started training because you ran some deal about Thanksgiving.
Some deal.
There was a deal.
Got it.
There was a deal on training, and I was like, sure, I'll train for 3 months and then stop training. Sounds fun. And then I
That
did
went well.
that, and I think at that point, then continuing, like choosing to continue to train
Yeah.
was definitely, a moment. And I think part of it was because I was, approaching my birthday, and I thought like, oh, this will be good to roll into this second half of my life, quote unquote. Like, I don't know how long I'm gonna live, but you know what I'm saying.
Oh, goodness.
So like rolling in second half, kind of like a reset. And I liked the progress. Like it kind of gave me the idea that I could do better in ways I had no idea that I could. like even just drinking water was huge for me, which sounds silly. But yeah, and then I was also getting married, which was a terrible idea. But outside of that, I was trying to fit into this dress, and I had to get
yes.
3 iterations of this dress because I kept getting smaller, and I was eating food, and I came in with
The
an
dress
eating
kept
disorder.
getting smaller, or you got smaller?
Both.
I don't
yeah.
think the dress got smaller.
I had to get smaller
Like,
dresses.
You changed it, right? Okay.
I had to change.
Just for
sizes.
clarity's sake.
But at that point, like I had come in with an eating disorder. I didn't have the same issues, so I was eating appropriately. I was drinking water, and I was seeing like results I really didn't know were possible. And just to be like, I'm not really a person like I want to fit into this size jeans or whatever. But it was crazy because I did, and I am now like a size I haven't ever been. And in that moment, kind of like having the goal of resetting and realizing the goal, I did post about the dress because I was like, holy shit, I made progress, and I'm still making progress to a point where like I need to go down 3 sizes.
Yeah.
So that felt, that just like told me a lot about what I can do. And I think I've carried that sentiment into now, and it did go through difficult things after that. But I was able to keep and grow that sentiment, which
Let's
I
go.
try to remind myself of still. So I'm gonna go with that.
I think this whole space is about transformation, and if you can grab one of the 7 lessons you hear in space, you'll change. It's that simple. Like again, we hear a lot of different things, right? But when it comes to change is as simple as, again, things happen to you, things happen to every single person on this planet. But when things happen, what you do what you do with it is what can change your life or keep it exactly the same. So I just want to give some reverence to the choices you made and the direction that is who you are today. Okay. All right. Anybody else?
I can't.
Everybody's just scrolling.
I was for a while. And
I went to Tasha's page
couldn't
and there's
find-
a lot. So I could keep going.
Well, this is how you helped other people's transformation.
Yeah, that's what I said. I got 2. I'll do 2 more if we ain't got it. I'm waiting, seeing what we come up with. I don't want to, I want to leave the opportunity for you guys to share as well. No? Great.
shared.
Nothing, Devin? Nothing at all?
No.
Oh, man. All right, here we go.
I'm trying to think if I can remember one from you. Didn't you just get
I'm
a shout
looking
out?
at, you said what
I
now?
feel like he just got a shout out from somebody. I'm trying to think
Maybe.
of what it was.
Well, that's
It's on my
why.
mind.
We got a good review from Amy on something.
Google reviews.
Was
I
it
think.
Google?
I think so. Or it was a message, maybe. It was one of those.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it was Google
I
reviews.
don't know, man.
Maybe it was Google
I haven't
review.
checked anything today. This must be
No,
real
no, it was
recent.
a while ago.
No, it was the
This is
past
a
couple
while ago.
months.
Right?
Oh,
she was new.
Amy-
and she was
yeah.
Amy
taking
Christ.
just your classes.
Amy
year 2,
Christ.
and
Yeah.
She said how much
Christ,
she loved
yeah.
working with you.
Let's see.
That definitely was a share.
That happened.
Yeah, that definitely was a share that she brought up a couple different times. So I would agree with that.
Look at the reviews.
He's like, I got this one.
Gotta look at those Google
trying to look
reviews.
up some Google
Hey,
reviews.
yo.
37
Oh, you really are?
reviews.
Oh,
Oh, Marjorie.
There
Look
you
at
go.
that.
There's a couple there.
Margie.
Yeah, read one of them bad boys.
Here we go. Classes are small enough that the coaches can focus on each person's abilities. They may offer a modification to one person and an extra challenge to the next. Lyndon and Devi know me and always encourage me to give a little more than I think I have.
Hey,
The community is diverse and wonderful. Everyone supports everyone wholeheartedly. This place is truly different. My body has become stronger and more able to do the things my life requires. That is what I would expect from a gym, but what I didn't expect was the community, the human connection. Getting it daily is so much more than a gym.
no. So sweet.
I love it. Right? We're doing something right. Damn it. We're doing something right. When people come here and they find community but also find change, I feel like we are doing something right. All right. I've gone back so far.
Yo, you really are in there.
Well, it's because there's a specific post I was looking for, but I'm gonna use this one. I'm gonna use this one. Okay, this is long because she's wordy. But Tasha she's one of my favorite clients to go down and like all the time spent, the things we talked about, the wisdom she shared, and the space she made. So this was like a very big moment for her. She said, "Can you cross your legs comfortably?" Mundane and simple for some. For me, this felt like an impossible task 1 year ago. I set a goal, placed it on my vision board, went to work. Today, I can celebrate the fulfillment of that goal. I can cross my legs. Here's the recipe. Not too much, just 1 whole year filled with hard work, buckets of sweat, mixed with a few tears, soreness, achy soreness, lots of early mornings, tons of therapeutic conversations with my trainer and a friend, talking about me, many trips to the beach where I sat and journaled, barefoot alone, dropping the weight of emotional baggage, writing out pages of positive affirmations, hours upon hours of prayer, being unemployed for so many months this year has been more than challenging, but I didn't go hungry and God provided. I was able to invest in myself in ways I never would have had time to do if things were different. Life is not about, damn it, I lost it. Okay, life is not about reaching some final destination or success. There we go, I finally paused it. I was like, ooh, this thing just be moving. It's more about choosing to embrace your journey because of the person you can become along the way. I'm proud of myself for starting my fitness journey, still have a lifetime to go. All right, so if you didn't know, Tasha is a wordsmith of sorts, in case you couldn't tell. So her posts in general are very like, she came very far. I was looking for the one she made when she first got here because she posted a hurdle, right? And when she first got in here, one of the first things she said is, I'm not going to be able to jump a hurdle. Never in my life will I be able to jump a hurdle. I'm too big for that. That was one of the first things she said. And I remember, again, people don't realize, I think trainers realize, especially if you're meticulous, like if you skip the bullshit fluff, if you stick to what works, if you make space for people, then your clients get better as a result. And one of the ways that I've done that over the years is revisiting the basics consistently. It's not about flash. It's not about how strong you are. It's really about how much you can, how much you can do, how hard you can push yourself. That's where your strength really starts to show up, in my opinion. Tasha was one of those people, and that's why she's near and dear to my heart as a client who I saw change so much over the course of a year. Even when I noticed that things had shifted for her, when she jumped the hurdle the first time, she cried. When she could cross her legs, she cried. She had a lot of shit. She is not lying about the mix with tears. Where were we? What was happening? I think we were in here, and she kept talking about, she was like, I can't cross my legs. I can't cross my legs. And everybody was talking. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, yo, everybody shut the fuck up, right? Because too many fucking chiefs and not enough Indians usually causes a bad scene for a lot of people. People need direction from a specific course. So because everyone was talking, I finally got her to focus on me. I said, look, sit there. She sat there, and I showed her. I was like, do it that way. She went, I was like, yeah, it's just that you've never made it accessible for you, which is so many facets of life or so many different ways that we deal with. A lot of times you'll talk about how something ain't for you, but really what's happening is you're not taking the time to try to figure out if it really is. You haven't taken the steps to go in and look at it from a direction that allows you to see it for what it actually is. So that's why it's one of my favorite client stories from this space, because we have shown a lot of people what's possible outside of what they thought was possible, right? They said it was impossible, we said it was possible. I feel like that's what we're all about. Yeah.
I mean,
All
just
right.
yesterday, Luanda. Shouts
yeah.
out to Luanda. You had her, motivated her to the end.
Yeah.
She walked that whole course.
Yeah,
we
she
go.
showed up this morning.
Yeah,
Hey.
feeling good. She did train this
Yeah,
morning.
she did.
She did train this morning. That's right. Again, stop putting the brakes on yourself, man. Show up for yourself. Do something different. It's important. All right. Thank you so much for watching today. You know where you can find our community. If not, check us out at www.gettingitdaily.com. You can also check us out on social media, Facebook or Instagram under the name Getting It Daily. Until next time, I'm Lyndon.
I'm M.
Amy.
And Debbie.
We're signing off. Peace. All right.